My name is Mattia. Today I'll be your host for both the tasting and later also a small tour of our property. So today we'll be tasting 3 different oils and also later 3 different wines with some food pairing, and then we'll go for the little walk. Right here of the 3 oils that you will taste, 2 are singles, so each of these 2 is made from its own kind of olives, because just like grapes and wines, there is different kinds of olives and they give a bit different oils. I'll start from the Lecchino, since it's a really green, grassy, fresh olive oil. It has a bit of spiciness in the back of the throat, but it's not a strong oil. This oil I usually recommend with some salads, some fresh cheeses like ricotta, mozzarella, and other lighter foods.
This is the first one.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to try mine here now. Got it in the cup. A little bit of smell. I'll take some in here now.
The cup is not mandatory, but happens fairly often. It's 5 different kinds of olives inside. So both of the other 2 we have here, the Lecchino and Humska Konoba, but also a Frantoio, Zernizza, and Busha. Because of it being a blend, it's maybe a bit more like fruity, a bit more floral in aroma. And again, just like the first one, has a bit of spiciness, but not very strong.
I have a correction, it wasn't this one, it's this one. He was just talking about the selector. It's in there. Look about the same, but looks aren't everything there, he said.
Bielica, this one is a autochthon source, so this kind of olives is native to this small region of Istria. And compared to the other 2 oils, this one is a bit stronger, a bit spicier. So this one I'd recommend more with some meat, maybe some stronger fish dish, something that's a bit more substantious. It's sparkling, and it's made with the Malvasia grapes. The Malvasia grapes are the most common white grape here in Istria, with almost half of the wine produced in total is actually Malvasia. So when you put both whites and reds together, Malvasia is almost half of the production. So if you order a glass of white wine in a restaurant, you will most likely get the Malvasia if you don't specify a different variety. This wine is made using the classic method of sparkling wine making. So it's basically made just like the champagne from France. But not being in the region, it's just a sparkling wine and not a champagne, but very similar in texture. And our Malvasia, again, same grape, but this one is not a sparkling wine. This is a so-called orange wine. So our wines are natural, organic, with nothing added in the process, not even commercial yeasts. The winemaking is done with natural yeasts from the fields. This wine was also macerated, which means that after being crushed to get the juice, the skins were left inside, and the maceration lasted for as long as fermentation, usually 25 to 30 days. After that, it was aged for 10 months in oakwood barrels, and it's from the 2019.
Oh, my battery gave out, so he was talking about the wine. But this is the Malzavania. I think he was talking about here. And it says it's an orange color, which it kind of is here if you look at it. Kind of orangey here. So, you know, kind of a white wine, but orange, dry white wine here. Well, I'm going to taste mine now here.
So it's not fresh
Here it
wine.
is here.
Fresh wine.
Let's give it a little taste here,
Young
see how it is here.
wine, like up to 1 year, let's say. It's fresh wine, young wine. This is aged wine. What's considered?
Well, it's white wine. I'm not a big fan
Up to 1 year.
of white wine, but
Yeah.
it has a nice color to it. It's a, you know, an okay taste. You know, it's not something I would buy, but if it was served to me, I would drink it. So, okay.
And last wine for today. This is our red, our Santa Elena. It's a coupage of Merlot and Refosco, around half and half. The name, it gets it from the location of the vineyard. It's located on a hill with the Church of St. Helena, and being a bilingual area, most people call it by the Italian Santa Elena. Olive mill, we have built it around 4 years ago, and at that point it was one of the three with the newest technology in the world, and one of two such just in this small region of Istria. It's built on two different floors. This is the upper one, which I like to call the dirty part of the process, while the floor underneath us, I like to say, is the clean part, basically just the actual olive oil extraction. Two main reasons for that. One is that the building was an existing one which we renovated and repurposed it, and the other, which is even more important, is that by dividing this part of the process and the rest, it's far easier to maintain the hygiene of the space where you are making the oil, so it's easier to have it food safe. So the journey of the olives begin with the harvest, where they harvest with nets on the floor, and they grab the olives, let them fall to the ground on the nets, and then they simply collect the nets and put it in crates. Then when the olives come to us, because we also don't use the olive pressed only for ourselves, we also offer the pressing of the oil as a service. So anyone can come, bring their own olives, pay a fee, and get their own oil made. So when we or anyone else brings the olives, we actually put them into big standardized crates, so it's easier to manage, so they're all the same. When it comes turn for a certain crate to be processed, it gets loaded into this machine here. The machine is usually located behind here where the door is now closed, and it just lifts up the crate and empties it back here into this sort of a funnel. From here, through the help of a conveyor belt, the olives get picked up, and up there, those two drum-shaped things, they're actually blower fans, and they blow off the leaves. Because they said that the harvest is done with the nets on the floor and picking it, so you always get some leaves. Leaves are not useful for oil making, and if too many pass through the cleaning process into the pressing, it can even ruin the quality of the oil, so you are blowing them away. Then the olives fall, and down here they get washed. This basin is usually also full of water, and aside of washing, here we also start controlling the temperature. Since in the last few years, especially when the harvest begins in the beginning of October, and then it lasts for around a month, but especially in the beginning, it's quite warm outside, and hence the olives sometimes come in quite warm. Well, for the extraction downstairs to happen, it must stay underneath 27 Celsius or around 79, 80 Fahrenheit. And that's really important, because if you go over, it's not considered cold pressed anymore, but aside of that, by rising temperature, you get more oil, but the quality drops down really, really significantly.
Does it get more bitter?
This is still for the olives.
Which in essence is just a big grinder. It grinds up all of the olive, both the fruit and like the meaty part and also the beets. They are crushed down and ground up. After this grinding, you get out sort of like a paste. That paste then gets transferred through some tubes to either one of these three containers. There are three big mixers, and each one is good for around 300 to 400 kilo of olives, so roughly 600 to 800 pounds, more or less. And inside of the mixer, that paste remains for around 45 minutes, all the time being stirred. That may seem like a really simple part of the process, why even bother, but actually it's a crucial one because it helps develop the flavor and also helps release the oil from the rest of the fruit, so it's easier to extract later. After the mixing part is done, again through some tubes, that paste gets transferred into either one of these two machines. They're the exact same, and they are so-called decanters. Right now we have one open, so you can see inside, and basically this tubular shaped thing spins up at a really high speed, and with the help of centrifugal forces, the oil is separated from the rest of the fruit, so from the water, from the meaty part, and everything else. And down here you get the fresh olive oil. Here it's nice to mention that this is the first point where the oil comes in contact with oxygen, because from when the olives are ground up through the mixing and even the extraction process, it happens all under vacuum to prevent unnecessary oxidation of the oil. Two biggest enemies of olive oil are high heat and oxygen. If you keep them out, olive oil can keep quite well, but still it shouldn't be aged like wines, because olive oil, even if stored in perfect conditions, slowly degrades. The legal best before date is 2 years from production, but I would say that for the taste, it's best to use it within a year and a half. While even if you have a 3-year-old bottle, if it was stored in good conditions, you can still use it. It's not harmful, not bad for you, but it's simply not as green, not as grassy fresh. So if someone has a bottle of olive oil for special occasions, better have it with a salad in the first year. It's always good to buy from year to year. This is where the old shop used to be. We moved to the new space where we had the tasting only 2 years ago. Before that, all of the tasting, all of the selling happened right here in this.
Wow, small.
It's not an ideal location because we are essentially in the basement of the owner's family home, and hence if they're walking upstairs we can hear them. If we're talking here, they can hear us. So if you're hearing chairs, that's the reason. But when we are starting, this was the best option available, hence we used it. We started our whole story as a business around 1998, where we started planting the first trees and renovating old, already owned family olive yards. Then around 2004-05, we also started with the selling of the olive oil, and a bit later, just a year or two later, this room was repurposed as a shop. And that's most of our history of this room. And let's go to the storage conditions. Right now some of the tanks are missing because we are cleaning them.
This is for olive oil.
Clean the tanks really well before the new batch is put in. So usually two of the best materials are glass and stainless steel. But since having a tank this size made out of glass, full of oil, that would be like waiting for disaster. Most people and most places use stainless steel. If you have a look around the room, you can see the green tube. That's a nitrogen line, and when we fill the containers, we replace the air with nitrogen, so that the oil again does not oxidize. Also, you can feel it's quite fresh down here, even though the AC is not running. That's because we are partially underground, so the ground keeps it fresh.
This is the wine cellar here. They're full. These babies are full here. Got more back here too. In this area, got a giant one back there.